It was almost midnight when the rain began to fall, sharp cold streaks slicing through the orange glow of the interstate lights along I-35, just south of Laredo, Texas. Nathan Cole gripped the wheel of his battered 2008 Chevy pickup, the wipers thumping in a tired rhythm against the downpour. His 10-year-old son Oliver was curled up in the back seat under an old Serape, a small backpack hugged to his chest. They were heading home to San Antonio after Nathan's night shift cleaning offices in a Laredo strip mall. He took whatever work he could get since the plant in Eagle Pass cut hours again. He was bone-tired, but when he saw the flashing hazards on the shoulder up ahead, he eased off the gas. A sleek black Mercedes GLS had its driver's side door open, emergency lights pulsing red against the wet asphalt. A woman stood beside it, soaked to the skin in a cream silk dress and heels that had no business being out in this weather. She was fumbling with her key fob, dropping it, picking it up, swaying like the wind might knock her into traffic. Nathan almost kept rolling. Oliver was finally asleep, and he still had an hour to go, but then she staggered straight into the lane. Headlights barreled toward her, an 18-wheeler out of Nuevo Laredo running late. Nathan slammed the brakes, threw the truck in park, and bolted through the rain. He caught her arm just as the truck blasted past, horn screaming, air brakes hissing like an angry snake. She collapsed against him, mumbling in slurred Spanish and English about her phone, the smell of expensive tequila on her breath. When she looked up, water streaming down her face, Nathan felt the world tilt. Vanessa Hart, Dona Vanessa Hart de la Garza, CEO of Hartwell Motors USA, the woman who owned half the maquiladoras across the border and who had chewed him out in front of the whole maintenance crew that morning for being 90 seconds late clocking in. The same woman whose voice could freeze you from 20 yards away. Tonight her eyes were wide, scared, human. He didn't say anything. Just guided her back to his truck, sat her in the passenger seat, and draped his old work jacket over her shaking shoulders. Oliver stirred in the back. Papa, ¿quién es? Alguien que necesita ayuda esta noche, mijo. The GPS on her dropped phone still showed the destination, a gated ranch just outside Zapata, Texas, right on the lake. 40 minutes out of his way. Nathan sighed, rubbed his eyes, and turned north. She dozed most of the ride, head against the window, mascara streaking like war paint. When they reached the ranch, white stucco walls, red tile roof, a courtyard big enough to land a helicopter, he half carried her up the steps under the portal. The housekeeper, an older woman from Piedras Negras, took one look and crossed herself, then hurried to open the door. Vanessa clung to his sleeve for a second. Gracias, she whispered, like the word hurt coming out. He made sure she was on the leather couch with a blanket, left his number with the housekeeper in case she needed anything, and slipped back into the rain. Figured that was the end of it. People like her forgot faces like his before breakfast. He was wrong. Next morning at the Hartwell plant in San Antonio, the lobby went dead quiet when Vanessa Hart walked straight toward the maintenance desk. No suit today, just dark jeans and a simple blouse, hair in a low ponytail, no makeup. Every mechanic, every secretary, every security guard pretended not to stare. Nathan Cole. He froze, expecting the axe. My office. Now. Inside, she shut the door, closed the blinds that overlooked the assembly floor, and just stood there a moment. You saved my life last night, she said in Spanish first, then switched to English, voice softer than he'd ever heard it. You didn't have to stop. You could have let that truck take care of everything. But you didn't. He shrugged, uncomfortable. Cualquiera lo hubiera hecho, señora. No, she said firmly. Not anyone. Not for me. She looked at him, really looked, like she was seeing the lines around his eyes, the calluses, the patched work boots. You have a son. Oliver. He tensed. How did you? I pulled your file after you left this morning. Double shifts here, janitorial in Laredo, child support paid on time every month even when overtime dried up. She gave a small, sad smile. I've been a real bitch, haven't I? The word sounded so strange in her polished accent that Nathan almost laughed. That afternoon she sent him home with full pay and a company truck loaded with groceries and a new tablet for Oliver's schoolwork. Word spread like wildfire through the plant. El jefe se volvió loca, o quizás se volvió humana. 2 days later she showed up at his tiny garage in San Antonio's west side, the one he ran on weekends fixing neighbors' cars for whatever they could afford. She parked the Mercedes between two lifted lowriders, got out in jeans and boots, hair under a Hartwell Motors cap. "Need an extra pair of hands?" she asked. He stared. "You're serious?" "As a heart attack." Or almost one, anyway. Over the next weeks she became a regular. Brought barbacoa on Sundays, helped Oliver with his English homework, learned how to bleed brakes and torque lug nuts. The mechanics called her Donna V behind her back and grinned when she pretended not to hear. One quiet Saturday, sitting on an overturned bucket drinking Big Red, she finally told him the rest. "That night, my father died in Monterey 3 weeks ago. We hadn't spoken in 2 years. I flew down for the funeral, got into the mezcal, drove back across the bridge half out of my mind. I kept thinking if I disappeared on that highway, maybe someone would finally notice I was gone." Nathan didn't say anything wise. Just handed her a shop rag when the tears started. "You noticed," she finished. "That's enough." She launched the Corazon Hartwell program the next month, flexible shifts for single parents, college funds for their kids, paid border crossing tolls so families could stay connected. At the announcement she looked straight at Nathan standing in the back and said, "This is for the man who taught me that kindness doesn't check your bank account or your last name at the door." 6 months later the offer came, plant manager position, new Hartwell facility opening in Saltillo, double the pay, company house, full benefits, a future Oliver could actually count on. Only catch, it was Mexico. 4 hours south of the border. A world away from the little garage, from Saturday barbacoa, from the woman who now kissed Oliver goodnight when she tucked him in on the nights she stayed over. The night before he had to answer, Vanessa found him in the garage after closing. The Tejano music was low, the sky over San Antonio bruised purple and gold. "You're taking it," she said. "Not a question. It's for Oliver." "You think I don't know that?" Her voice cracked. "You think I want you to stay and resent me every day he outgrows his shoes again?" She stepped close, smelled like motor oil and her perfume and rain coming. "Promise me one thing, Nathan Cole. Wherever you go, don't ever stop being the man who pulls over in a storm for someone who doesn't deserve it." He couldn't speak past the knot in his throat. Just pulled her in and held her like the world wasn't about to split in two. They left at dawn. Oliver sleepy in the back of a new company truck, waving through the rear window. Vanessa stood in the driveway of the little house on the west side, holding the same faded serape Nathan had draped over her that first night. She didn't cry until the taillights disappeared. 4 months later, a thick envelope arrived at the house in Saltillo. Inside was a photo, Vanessa and 200 employees, mechanics, secretaries, single moms, grandmas, standing under a bright new sign that read, "El programa Nathan Cole. Porque un acto de bondad cruza cualquier frontera." Scrawled on the bottom in her handwriting. "You didn't just save my life that night on the highway, Nathan. You gave me a new one. Thank you for never looking away." He pinned the photo next to Oliver's latest drawing on the refrigerator, a stick figure family under a bright sun, the words in wobbly English and Spanish. "Las segundas oportunidades empiezan aquí." Second chances start here. And somewhere up north, when the rain comes down hard on I-35 again, people say if you're lucky you might see a certain black Mercedes pulled over on the shoulder, hazards flashing, waiting to pay forward a debt that can never fully be repaid. Kindness, after all, speaks Spanish and English and every language in between. It just needs someone willing to stop in the storm.